Okay, so we're doing another Brewster podcast. This is again Ted Schmidt, GM of the California Crusaders, and Randy Weigand, GM of the San Fernando Bears. And we're going to talk about the Johnson League free agency signings, which is totally being recorded at a different time from when we did the Frick ones.
Well, it's not simultaneous, so it is in fact a different time.
It is. It is a different time, and it's not at all that I have not even gotten out of the bed that I was in.
I at least got up and refilled my drink with Vodak. We're in the Johnson, so I can talk about Vodak now.
You can, and you have slightly higher alcohol percentage Vodak. I am still sipping the same.
I've also, this is only number 2, and it's the last drink I'll have for probably 5 weeks. So I'm gonna savor it because I ran out of Sprite. That was my last Sprite that I had.
Because you're gonna have another baby.
I am gonna have baby number 2, and I need to be in shape to drive to the hospital at any given moment. Because my wife is due in less than a month. Such a caring man. Well, have you seen a lady in labor try to drive? I like to stay alive.
That's a good point. Self-preservation comes through at some. I have not. I am a hopelessly bachelor guy. I don't think it's ever going to change. That's okay. And I think Luis Soto, who is signed by Atlantic City, also is a bachelor. Forced segue.
I have thoughts on AC. I have thoughts on AC.
Oh, what are those thoughts?
Do they think they're going to contend?
I don't know, but these are okay deals if they're gonna.
But
right?
But if they're not going to, they're not great deals.
Oh, because they can't move any of them.
Well, I'm also pissed because I wanted Salazar. I wanted Salazar badly. Because we're recording this the day I traded for Victor Guerra. And I wouldn't have had to trade for Victor Guerra if I had signed Alfredo Salazar. And I offered him like $1 million less than what he ended up getting.
My impression of Josh Biddle is that I think he's a smart guy and a savvy GM. Like what I've heard him say when he types stuff up, what he's done with the teams that he has are all signs of I do a good job. He killed himself with those like first 2 signings he made.
And then he got a get out of jail free card.
Yeah, and
how much do you think he's kicking himself, by the way, for trading Cannon because he had a money crunch, and then Lopez goes and gets him out of the money crunch?
Right.
Like,
and the thing you said before we were talking about this is like, if you're going to try to compete, why'd you trade Cannon? Like the Soto deal, $8.9 million. The structure's wonderful. I mean, he's 37.
And the structure completely protects against Soto's recent injury history because he has only started 1 season of 30 games since 2031.
Right, but you know what? He's been a decent to even good pitcher, and like
when he pitches,
free agent. I think the guy can be a number 3 starter, right? Like
if you're looking to contend, this is a great deal.
Right, like less than anything, $8 to $9 million for a mid-rotation starter out of free agency. That's solid.
Yeah, you know what deal this reminds me of? Mario Mendez last year.
Yeah, well, same kind of thing.
Now those were team options and not vesting options.
No, but these are fine vesting options because I actually like vesting options. You're totally in control. If you don't think you want it, you just don't play the guy.
Well, and not only that, this one, I think he wants him, but this is his way of protecting himself.
Well, and it's 30 games, right? This guy's got to start 30 games.
Which is he basically can have like a 2-week injury and that's it.
Yep.
Which, given Soto's recent history, like I said, he's hit it once since 2031.
No, that's not. Last year he pitched 30 games.
Yeah, but that's the only time since 2031 that he's done it.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah. I see.
So, like, I like this contract, and I like the Salazar contract.
I do not.
Tell
me why you like the Salazar contract.
Because I like the descending structure of it.
Salazar has 5 rows of logos.
Yeah.
Like by his head.
Yeah, he's good.
You can't see some of them because they're behind his head.
He's good.
Well, he was good.
And I think he still can be.
He can play one outfield position with any degree of competency, which is whatever, fine. Right-handed, 7 contact. He can be good. So, like, this deal...
It's a great structure. It's a great structure.
It's too much money, man. Like, $23 million. And someone was going to give Salazar this money, so I understand why he paid that.
Well, I wanted to give him like 20 or 21.
Salazar was a 1.3 win player last year. In 2034, he was a 5-win player. Okay, so he had a one down year. You know what, I thought he did like 2. So he's only had one down year. But if he's a 5, do you really want to pay $20 million for a 4 to 5-win player? God, that's so much money.
I mean, but if you look at it, the average length, the average is, what is it, 23, 19, and then 12. So if he plays out the full deal, that's 42, that's 54, that's 18 a year. Would you give him 18 a year?
No. Not for a 5-win player, no. And this is where, like, you know, I was on that rant about the prices of these guys. I don't think you can build a team. I don't think you can win paying guys $20 million. You can do it with one player, or maybe two. Maybe two if you did the tank and rebuild and you've got a bunch of young studs that aren't making anything. And this is the problem I have with contracts like these, is this is, what, a quarter of their discretionary spending on one player?
Well, it also, but that's my question. Like with Soto and Salazar, I'm okay with those contracts on a contending type team.
Yeah, and I don't totally mean to beat up on Salazar. This was a garbage free agency, and he's still probably a pretty damn good player. I'd be, if you had to make me, you know, do you think last year was an aberration and this guy's really still a 4-win player? Yeah, probably. I bet you he bounces back pretty well.
Well, because last year, Charm City, everybody went to shit last year.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but he's also declined, right? Like this is a guy that's legitimately declined.
But my question with Josh is, does he think he's a playoff team? Like, because that division, right? I don't think is as good as we thought it was going to be. But
but I still think Montreal's still
good.
Better than there, and I still think Rockville's way better. Like not even close. We're going to talk about Brooklyn next because I was wrong, and we should try to figure out why. Well, they also signed Danny Lopez. So let's just talk about it.
I don't get that contract at all. I mean, it's a fair deal given the talent, but he already has 2 first baseman DHs that are 20 and 21 years old. So
what left-handed?
Nope. Was that it?
I think I think he's the right-handed half. I think like Adrian Salazar is. I think he's. Maybe, yeah. I think he's just the right-handed bat.
But what about Aguilera? Is he right-handed? Is he left-handed too?
Gustavo Aguilera is no. He's right. He is right-handed. Yeah. Nope. Don't get it. You're right.
Oh, by the way, you missed. I did get a signing. He didn't copy all the guys in the sim because I signed it. If we can shift back to the Frick temporarily, I signed another bullpen guy, Miguel Macias.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That one matters.
I signed him to 2 years, $9.5 million.
Total?
No, each year.
That's awful. Sorry. I have strong feelings about paying relievers that much money.
I normally do too, but I need bullpen help, and I wasn't going to pay anybody else. And Mario Mendez signed with Des Moines, because I tried to sign him too.
Manny Montañez signed with Des Moines, and Luis Miguel Carrillo signed with Charm City. Did we talk about Manny Montañez when we talked about Des Moines?
No, because he just signed in his last sim.
What do you think about? Let's. I'm sorry, everybody. Let's go back to.
Well, we did warn people that this new sim coming in would. Wow, I offered Mendez more money than that, and he took a 1-year deal. That son of a bitch.
Hey, He took a
1 year, $6.5 million deal. And I offered him like 2 years, $8 million each.
Des Moines just turned their shit around, man. Des Moines might be the winner over there now. Go look at Okay, that's a fine deal for Mario Mendez, right? Mario Mendez is a little bit past his prime. He's a little bit rickety and shaky, but for $6 million, that's a good gamble.
Like I said, I offered him 2 years, 16.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah, that's.
And he signs 165.
Marco, I'm looking at some of these signings. So yep, Mario Mendez, that's a good price. Check out the structure because I haven't downloaded the file. Check out the structure on Manny Montañez for because he's a player that I liked in Seattle, and I'm sure he just wanted too much money in Seattle. Let him go to free agency.
He's back in Seattle, right?
No, he's Des Moines got him.
Oh, Des Moines got him.
And Des Moines, like one of my things for Des Moines was like, you have these defense-only middle infielders. They don't hit enough, and Montañez can hit.
All right, hold on.
He's not like amazing, but he can hit a little bit.
Players DFA. Oh, is he already on the sprint? Did Recti throw him right on the sprint training roster? That's nice of him. Manny Montañez. He signed for 6, 7 team option for 8.
That ain't bad.
With $1.8 million buyout on that team option, $650,000 silk bonus, which he ain't gonna get, and $130,000 All-Star bonus, which he might get.
I mean, he's going to destroy left-handed pitching. Absolutely destroy left-handed pitching. And honestly, like, we were talking about Mike Love back when we did that contract, back when we did the other podcast. Sure, against right-handed pitching, he's only got 5 contact, 8 I, 9 ABK. He can, and if you look at like Seattle's totals, like look at him when he's with Seattle, the WAR doesn't look fantastic. I'm pretty sure they were shoehorning him to yep, they were playing him at shortstop a lot, where he can't play short. He doesn't have the skills for short, but he can play some second base.
Well, and one thing about Des Moines, we kind of question their offense, but their defense is fucking incredible.
Well, and this guy, he'll fit right in. He's a good.
He's
good
actually
second
going to
baseman.
be a downgrade defensive second baseman.
Well, yeah, but their second base was no hit, right?
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, he's damn good. Don't get me wrong, but he's still.
Well, they were playing Bill Hardy at second base, and Bill Hardy's a fine player. He's not a great hitter, but he's such a good glove. But they'll be able to move Bill Hardy over to short, and
what are they going to do with Chong?
Not play him except as a backup. It's interesting because Chong's done better than I would have expected. This isn't the best fit, but like
they could play Chong at third, because who are they playing at third right now?
Well, they're playing the guy they got from Yellow Springs, Ernesto Garza, who I maybe better than I think he is. Like, I didn't like this guy when I saw that trade, but like he hit pretty well for him. But I like this though. It's like, so between Garza, Chon, and Hardy and Montañez, you've got enough plate appearances to go around. This is a good. That's a nice pickup. I wonder if one of those other guys can play like out of position somewhere else. Nope, you're not an outfielder. Are you an outfielder? Ooh, yeah. Chon can play a corner outfield spot if they do it in spring training for him. And this is where we're talking. We just crushed Ed for signing Roberto Miranda and Armando Castaneda, so he's probably planning. I don't know what he's planning on doing with Montañez. I like both these signings.
I do.
So sorry, Ed, we beat you up before, but I don't know how you're putting this together, but those are good value. Like,
I agree. And like I said, I'm just mad because I offered Mendez more money in more years, and he took less money in 1 year.
All right, I'm just skimming through to see if we got any unfinished Frick business that we haven't done.
I just happened to see this because I looked through my.
I just don't play. I mean, if the piece you need is a high end reliever and you've got the money, I get it. I just hate paying relievers.
Oh, trust me, I hate paying relievers too. Don't get me wrong, but like you said, it was the piece I needed, and I knew that I had. I mean, I didn't need anything on offense. I had the best offense in the league, and I added Victor Guerrera.
Yep. So that's it for the new news. Yep. Okay. So let's go back to the Johnsons. So we beat up on Atlantic City because we don't know what they're doing. Brooklyn.
At least, no, this is all disregarding this lesson that just got posted, but I didn't have them signing anybody.
Nope, I don't either, and they also have no money, so I don't think they were going to. So let's talk about Brooklyn a little bit, though, because I was wrong. They made the trade for Mario Balderas, and they signed Cisco Guerrero for a lot of money, and then you were high on Ken Bates, and when we did this a few months ago, last season.
Which is funny, because Ken Bates is probably the worst of those three.
Ken Bates was not great last year.
Update, I did my the pitching thing again, and I submitted the piece. Ken Bates was, by most metrics, one of the worst starting pitchers in the league.
Oh, awesome. Not because I wish poor for Brooklyn, but I'm just a jerk and I like when I'm right. So they were good last year. Is that a mirage?
Well, he monkeys with his team, and I don't mean monkeys in a bad way.
No, Allen's does some shit that I do not, and he's good at it. I've got a list of owners that when I do their I'm not gonna say who they all are, but essentially when I do the team previews, there's guys I look at the roster and there are a small number of owners where I just go, I give them like 4 or 5 wins because of the owner, like because of the GM, because they do things that I don't know how to do, or they handle certain rosters away or it's like this guy always builds his roster this way. I don't like it, but he always does better than I think he can. One of them is Fred Holmes. Fred's just I don't like the way he does things, but he has shown that with the type of rosters he builds, he is better than I would expect him to be with him. So I always give him in. Allen's clearly moved himself into that pack or towards the front of that pack, where I just know that he's going to get more out of his guys than I would expect.
Well, he will platoon. I think he platoons almost every position, if not every position.
Yeah, but so do I. I mean, like platooning, it's not just platooning. Like he works matchups. You know, like
yeah.
It's
well, his pitching thing, that'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Yeah, I actually had him needing as another starting pitcher and maybe a center fielder, but so no signings. We'll see what Balderas and Guerrero do, because that was always the concern with those guys, is they make a lot of money and they're getting older. You know, they can fall off a cliff at any time. Let's move on to a team that I think 2 years ago I predicted them to fall apart, and they won a bunch, and so last year I didn't have the balls to do it again, and they fell apart.
Trump City.
Yep, they need a lot.
And I think they signed a couple guys, and I think they also re-signed Carrillo in this last sim.
Yeah, someone did, and I think you're right, it was them.
But Murillo, let's talk about him, because Van Willard, fine, whatever.
I'm not really excited. Like, he's a ERA plus of 89 for his whole career. So again, we're talking about FIP minus, and the other one minus being below 100 for minus is good. Being below 100 for plus is not. So,
but he signed up for $1 million with a $1 million team option. Yep. So for a reasonable
flyer, like, just because you're a below average pitcher doesn't mean there's not a price at which you're useful.
Yep.
And at $1 million, 10% worse than league average, that's useful.
Yep. And then for Felipe Murillo, let's go to the opposite end of the price scale.
So, yeah, but honestly, like, I like it. I really like it. I know he gets hurt, but I think Murillo was never, like, Stu tried to start him a few times, but pulled the plug on it pretty quickly. Boise started Murillo 16 times last year, and he was a pretty decent starter. Like, sort of. Like, his numbers are all over the place. The ERA is great. The FIP minus is worse than league average, and the FIP is not great. The WAR is not great. The Baseball Reference WAR is good. The strikeouts are way down, and that doesn't seem realistic, right? Like, I think that's why the WARs look bad and the FIP minus looks bad, is that, like, you know, Murillo as a reliever was a half a home run to, 3/4 of a home run per 9 guy, and he was a 1 to 2 walk, like 1.5 to 2.5 walk guy per 9 innings, and he was a 12 to 13 strikeout per 9 guy. And when he moves to a starter in his only reasonably large 90-ish inning sample size we have of a starter, the walks went up by a whole walk. That's reasonable. The home runs went up a tad. That's reasonable. The strikeouts per 9 dropped from like a career of 12 to 6.3. And I think that's probably bullshit. I don't see a way that Felipe Murillo only strikes out 6.8 per 9 innings. I think that ERA is probably realistic, and I think the FIP and the WAR as a starter are bad because his strikeout rate was unrealistically poor.
I mean, the question is... I just
realized I've been talking for a year now, sorry.
Do you start him? Short answer.
Oh.
I
think if you sign him for $13 million, yes.
But, and I ragged on Rio before the contract was signed because I don't think he's worth the salary given the injury risk. Because he's a walking DL stint. Him and Gerardo Fajardo, who we'll get to, are walking DL stints. But given all that, 13.5 and a 13.5 team option is the perfect sort of contract for a guy that's a walking DL risk.
And what's our theme? If he plays well, because Charm City's not going to compete, what do you do?
Flip him.
Yep.
But
I shouldn't say Charm City's not going to compete. They're probably, they've
no,
got a.
he stripped it down last year, so I think he's the only piece he pretty much wasn't able to get rid of was Winston, and that's because there ain't nobody taking that contract.
Well, you say that, but
yeah, but that one's gonna be real tough to find somebody without attaching other pieces.
so I don't know. These are okay. These are okay deals. Montreal. You know what's interesting? I have started like every third sentence I've talked to anybody today with. You know what's interesting? I need to find other things to say. So Montreal, their roster's pretty good. Like,
well, yeah, I gave a chunk of it to him for Gilstrom.
Yeah, but like everybody, Montreal started so poorly last year. They won 89 games, and they were awful through the first first third of the season. They've got. I thought they could use like a front end starter, which isn't going to happen in this free agency. But they've got relievers. They've got enough starters. They're just lacking a little elite talent. They've still got Gung Ho and Benjamin Dale's a good hitter, and Gary Schneider's a good hitter, and Robert Gowron's, he's what he is. He's a masher. He strikes out a ton. Juan Santana's a decent hitter. Pedro,
I like Juan Santana a lot. That was one of the pieces I gave him. Gowron I wasn't sad to give up.
Yeah, Luis Gonzalez is this could be a pretty damn good team. And which isn't surprising. I'm glad Gary's here. Welcome, Gary.
Turning into what everybody thought he would be.
Who was that?
Inside.
Who?
Aki Kondo.
Yeah, you know what? I think emotions he's just going to give up home runs.
But yeah, he's kind of what we were talking about earlier with. Yeah, he's going to give up home runs, but there's not going to be many guys on base when he gives them up.
No, but he's never going to be an ace, right? Like he's going to get, bombed out of a few too many games. But he's a good pitcher.
You can win a title with him as your number 2.
Yep, absolutely, I agree. But it sucks to lose John Callahan.
Yeah, I mean,
who probably is not his real name. I mean, seriously, Big John Callahan, like, what are the, I don't know, maybe. Because I think, who's not real? Jim Roberts, I believe, is not an actual person. I think there might be another one. But that's newer, like, I think it's Jim. Like, there's a couple people who have, like, since said direct at some point, by the way, this isn't my actual name, but they've been around so long, we're just like, fuck it, we don't care, whoever you are.
But yeah, Montreal, the contracts
Randy
they signed,
Weigand, Navy Sergeant, probably is not a person. But
no, I mean, I did not like Chris Atkins. I did not like that contract.
That just happened, right? Or no, that was not just happened, but that was the sim that happened yesterday.
That was before this last sim. That was the sim yesterday, I believe.
Right.
But
I have not taken a huge look at that one yet. I just wrote down that did happen, but I need to.
Promptly relief converted him, but it's 5, 6, 6, 6 player option for 6 more.
Oh, that's bad.
That's bad.
That's too much for a reliever.
I mean,
the
money's not atrociously high. I mean, it's not.
I shouldn't say that. Okay, I was wrong. I said the wrong words. Finish what you're saying.
But the money is, I mean, on the high side of reasonable, but not backbreaking. But I don't get the length. Why are you giving out what essentially amounts to a 5-year contract for a reliever?
It's going to be 38 when it ends, right? Like the other thing about this is that it's not that that's too much for a reliever. Like for a elite end of the bullpen guy, that's a reasonable amount. But you don't know what Chris Atkins is as a reliever, right? Like that's a wait, did you say this was a convert guy?
I think he converted him.
I don't think he's a convert. I think he's been a reliever the whole time.
No, I think he's been using him as a reliever, but I think he's been a starter. Like
he started 8 games in his entire career.
But I think he always had starter caliber number. Like he was like a 7 stamina that had multiple pitches.
I am very well prepared this time, as everyone can tell.
I'll have to look on.
Yeah, I'm clicking things. This is doing my best Jeff Sullivan, just real time research as we look through. We don't have a play index. We're looking through our equivalent of it So it's the most entertaining thing in the entire world as we
Yeah, but let me
click
look.
things and try to figure this out. Participation points and rewards. That's where I need to be.
Yep.
And RP converts. I don't see one, man. It's recent.
Maybe I've had it.
Now, Chris Adkins has been a reliever this whole time. I knew that. You confused the shit out of me. No, he's been a reliever, and so we do know what he is. And you just threw me on a giant random wild goose chase. $6 million is too much for a career 3.7 ERA, 3.87 FIP reliever. I just shat out 3 more of those out of my minor league system this year. Like that's too much. All right.
Yep.
But Gary gets a free one because he's a new guy.
Oh, damn it. For some reason, I was thinking of Leon Flores, not Chris Atkins. I don't know why.
Manuel Freita is the guy he had signed previously.
I mean, he's riding the coattails of one great season for all it's worth. And do you really want to pay $4 million for a year for the next 2 years for a fourth outfielder?
Yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on this. Like, it's a little much. He can still play. No, it's a little much. It's not horrible. Like, it's not.
No, it's not. It's not going to be in my contender for.
It's not going to hurt him. It's just not a great deal. But yeah, all right. Jacksonville, was up against the cap. I don't think Tyler signed anybody.
Not as of my. Yeah, well, he had to do some gymnastics just to get under the cap in the first place. Did we finish the Atlantic altogether?
Yep. Well, we sort of did. Jacksonville's in the next division over. I got them out of order because, like, I can't remember the new division, so I tried to do.
Hold on. Let me look real quick. Hold on.
There's one in here somewhere that I forgot that is actually in the Atlantic.
Oh, Rockville.
Rockville.
They didn't.
Rockville has a complete team. They didn't need to sign anyone, and they didn't. I think that's the entire Rockville story, is that they're really good. They have no holes.
And they're going to be really good, although he's going to have some cap gymnastics of his own that he's got to pull off.
He does eventually, but he's over the cap, right? He's like $117 million right now. I'm pretty sure he's over the cap.
I thought he got under it for this year, but he's over it for next year.
Nope. League financial report: Rockville Pikeman, $117,515,000. He has to shed $7.5 million before opening day.
That's a chunk.
What can I poach off Rockville, huh? He's gonna dump Karlomov on somebody.
Probably.
Rafael Mata, he could dump. Rafael's gonna. He can knock out 6.5 of that if he gets anybody to just take Rafael Mata. Aaron Campbell is pretty good. He's not gonna want to lose him. I'm just looking at guys that are gone after this year. Julio Torre. I bet you it's Rafael Mata and Julio Torre. He dumps those two guys. He's fine, and he's not losing anything on either one of those dudes. So that's it. You want to place a bet as to whether or not he'll move any other actual players, or if it will just be those two?
I don't know.
And he's got the cash too, so honestly, like, worst comes to worst, he can just buy those two guys out and be under the cap.
Yeah.
All right, so that is the whole, whatever the name of that division is, the Atlantic.
Yes.
So moving to the Southeast, we already did Jacksonville. Let's talk about Kyle Stevers' Huntsville Phantoms.
With his whole new bullpen that he signed?
He did. I'm not as excited about it as he is, but it's pretty good.
Well, it's because all those. Of course, he's excited about it. They all have 7 or 8 movement,
and they're all there's lefties.
Velasquez, I like that. I'm pissed because I want
Esteban Velasquez is legitimately one of the best in the league. Again, it's $11.5 million for a couple of years, and I mean, he has the money, and you did too. I just fucking hate it. I hate giving relievers that kind of money. It just makes me angry. I don't like doing it.
I basically offered Velasquez a similar deal to what I ended up giving Macias.
Yeah, you got Kenny Hill.
That's Stever special is how I called that one, because I gotta look. Isn't his movement like 8 or 9?
Yeah, it's 8, and he has shit control. He's got good stuff, and he hasn't pitched well, but he's pitched okay at times. And for an 1.8 million, my argument again, he's only 34. Why not take a team option on it? He got my guy.
Yeah, I had put it this way, for Hill I had Stever special. For Garza I had Stever wet dream.
So I will go to the mat against anybody who votes for All-Stars and Fireman of the Year stuff based on saves, you all are wrong. We can fight about this all you want. There is no amount of 40 innings with 50 saves, 60 saves, 40 innings and 60 saves. I will take Ronaldo Garza's 120 innings of 2.24 ERA ball over that every single fucking time, and I'll beat you doing it. Like, that is starter. He pitched like 3/4 of a starter's worth of innings last year.
I'm pretty sure I gave him. I don't know if I gave him my win, but I'm pretty sure I put him on the ballot. Either him or I think Mexico City had a similar guy. Oh no, different league.
Well,
different league, but
yeah, no, it's this league. Mexico City's in this league.
No, Mexico City's in the but I mean, compared to what Garza was.
Yeah. So the thing about Garza's cutter was 5 for most of last year.
Is he? That was my other comment. Is he a one-pitch wonder at this point?
I don't know. His cutter was 5 for most of last year, and it dropped to 4 in September, and he did not pitch as well in September, and he was only kind of okay in the playoffs. So I wonder if he's, like, if he can pitch like he did last year, that $4.5 million is a steal. I don't know that he can. I'm not saying he can't. There's some of these guys. He's had a 5 cutter for years, so he's been doing it with like a mediocre cutter and a great curve for a while. The control and motion have been carrying him. I was hesitant to and he wanted like 9 or 10 million a year for me to extend him. So I don't know how this is going to work out.
Going to be 40 years old, you rightly told him no.
Right. So I don't know. This could end up being great. It can end up not being great. But again, Stever had the money, so it's no big deal. Okay. He also got Jose Gutierrez, who I had 2 years ago. Oh, God, he's got both Jose Gutierrez's. Did he sign the one that I used to have? Or did he sign the other one?
He basically, the guys I had listed were Kenny Hill, Velasquez, Garza, Gutierrez, and then Leon Flores, who he promptly signed and then converted.
So let's talk about the Leon Flores one. Like, what a move, right? Like,
I got to pull him up. Hold on a second. Because all I had for that one was part of the bullpen makeover and then promptly relief converted.
So Leon Flores, if I'm right, is Leon Flores a lefty?
I'm pulling it up. Give me a second.
He's a motion guy with weak control.
Well, he's a motion guy. Of course, he's Stever. By the way, Stever has 2 Jose Gutierrez's now.
I know he likes to do that. He also had like 2. We were talking about Juan Rodriguez. One point.
Flores is a righty.
At one point, he had 2 shortstops named Juan Rodriguez, and one was right-handed and one was left-handed.
And he platooned him?
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
That was great.
But, no, Flores is a right-handed 9.85 with 8 sinker and 8 splitter.
So it worked. He was 7 stuff before the convert. That is a slick move. Like, he picked up, like a failed. Because Leon Flores was one of Montreal's young up-and-coming starters, and he just got injured into the ground. Was
he part of that whole because we talked about this too, Stanza? Was he part of that whole...
Yep, the Stanza era just got... He had like... I don't know if he won a Gilstrom. He might have, but he was like...
Who, Flores?
Yeah. Yeah, rookie year. I think he did. He was a 7-WAR pitcher his rookie year.
That's absolutely incredible.
His second year is 5.8, 4, and he just went downhill. Just injuries and other stuff. And so he kind of last year was 7.85, not a great starter, pitched kind of mediocre with Boise. And again, Stever's head is big enough already, but this is a slick move. Picked him up for reliever money, all those pitches, and converted him to a 9.85 reliever. That's I look for that guy every year. I didn't this year because I was out of money, but I'm always looking for a guy to sign and convert, and yeah, he did a good job. God damn it. It's fucking Stever.
Well, he changed his whole pen, so.
Yeah. New Orleans, run by Jim. That's not my real name, Roberts. Maybe it is. I could be picking the wrong guy. I think it was Jim.
He does have one of the best screen names, though, given his real name. I give Jim Bob some serious credit, given that
I think that's why I think it's not his real name. I don't think Jim Bob's actually who he is. I think it's just.
But that's what I'm saying. If he's claiming his name is Jim Roberts, then Jim Bob is a great name.
Well, he's the New Orleans Crawdads.
I know.
Like,
And because I know you wanted Ramirez, I'll get out of the way on this one early. It's 3 years, $5.8 million each year guaranteed. My comments, and then I'll let you rant. Why horrible overpay and hasn't proven to be worth the money, much less every dollar of it guaranteed.
The why is it's a position of need. I've got like 15 to 16 out of the 30 teams needed the second baseman, and he was literally one of the best ones available, if not the best. So he used to be like a 90 weighted runs created player. Now he's more like an 80. That's not bad at second base. But I mean, come on, 7 contact, 2 home run, 4 eye. That's not a difference maker. You don't get that $5 million. But on the other hand, he's got a good team. He's got pitching. He's got other spots. He needed the second baseman, and so he spent the money to plug a hole. I don't know that I would have given it the length, right? Like, I bet you he could have made both of those team options and still gotten the guy.
Probably, or at least one of them.
Yeah. No, let's not beat that to death. Vegas made the big signing. They just did it, but they made some other big signings. So it's really, every time I talk to Rect in real life, or when he's posting, he's talking about how he has a cap crunch.
Did we finish with New
Orleans?
We're skipping divisions here.
No, I'm out of order. I don't know what divisions these guys are in anymore.
We didn't do Louisville, and we didn't.
Oh yeah, I'm way off. Let's San Antonio,
Louisville signed nobody, and Nashville signed nobody. So congratulations. Do we want to talk about? Those teams? I mean, not so much for.
Yeah, we want to talk about Nashville. I'm going to beat up your buddy.
Well, first, let's go alphabetical. Louisville's. I mean, Nigel is going to have problems. I think that team is sliding down and sliding.
Nigel needs to sell what he's got. He's got good players, and Nigel needs to just. This is the time to sell them while they're worth stuff and rebuild.
I've inquired about his pitching, and he said, "I am under no circumstances trading Morales or Jaramillo."
Well, he's wrong to do it because he can't win with the stuff he's got, and
he just extended McGuire for a stupid amount of money. Not nearly as stupid as what he gave Kirschbaum, or who was the.
Nigel has 19 to 20 million. And if free agencies actually had good players in them for him to sign, he has enough other pieces to compete. Like, he has a good framework, but he needs 1 or 2 more good players.
I'm going to break out an old expression here. He needs to shit or get off the pot.
Right. No, he does. But he can't shit. That's the point. To go even further, there's nothing to shit with. Like, his young guys, his minors, are not ready to produce anything to help him. There's good players in there.
And Hopkins at catcher has also, like, shit the bed recently.
Yeah, he has. But, like, the point is like, Nigel's, like, 2 good players short of being a real contender. And his minors aren't going to produce the players, and the free agency classes aren't good enough to give him the players. So he can continue to be an 80-win team and slowly fall into attrition and have to rebuild, or he can sell and do it now.
Which is a shame, because Kevin Morales is so fucking good.
Yep, and Jaramillo's decent too. Like
we were talking earlier about teams not having top 2 starters. He has 2 of them.
Wait until somebody's desperate and go get a mint for each of those guys.
I mean, Morales, I do that pitching thing, and I think he has 2 of the top 5 or 6 seasons.
How many he is? If Nigel wanted to sell this year, he could make a king's ransom. He has starters. Everybody needs a second baseman. He could give somebody Gabriel Telemate.
Yep.
He's got good. I understand why he doesn't want to sell, because he has so many, but he doesn't have like anybody like Kevin Morales is great, but otherwise he's just got a bunch of really good players, But he's got some of them on a really bad contract. Like, Morales, I mean, if he put Morales on the market, I think that would make the Dan Cannon, because Cannon's the only, that I can think of, the only legitimate top 2 starter that went via trade recently, like in his prime. Like, Gomez went from Omaha, now Mexico City, to Phoenix, I think, or somebody, he went somewhere.
but he was already like kind of past his prime, and then he went and got paid in free agency. But I think Cannon is the only starter in his prime to be traded in the last few years. I could be wrong.
No, and yeah, we just don't see it much anymore. Like we are short on top end starters, and Morales is not even on. He's on his ARB. He's still on ARB. Does he have any ARB left, or is this his last ARB year? Salaries. Kevin Morales. Morales has 2 more ARB years.
Like this, and then 1 more.
2 more.
Oh, so this is his first ARB year.
2030. He's under team control through 2038.
He can get a Cane's ransom for him.
Yeah. And I get the desire not to, but I just don't see where he's going to get. He doesn't have prospects that I'm looking at that are good enough to like trade to add now. They're all too far away, you know. Like he doesn't have like the guy that's like he can.
And they're not like the 5-star guys that are too far away, but that they might like if you're willing to be patient, they'll turn into something. Like they're all like 3-star guys that are far away.
3.5, and he maybe got a 4 in there. But like, right, they're not a guy that he can, and none of them are close enough to make a difference now. So like, he's just in a bad in between spot.
Well, but I mean, if I can be snarky, let's face it, Nigel will be in another franchise in 4 years anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Right, yeah, it's fine.
But anyway, you wanted to talk.
I wanted to beat up your buddy Brett.
All right.
Nashville should sign players. That's the whole thing. Like, you can't go from 30 wins to contending. You can't do it. Like and it's not impossible. Like somebody's done it, but like it is exceptionally unlikely that you're going to go from 117 losses to contending, ever, at any point.
Well, I think.
Ever.
Well, I can't imagine. I mean, I've talked to him a little bit, just in generalities. Obviously, I don't talk extreme specifics with him because that would be, you know what I mean, like bad juju. But I know he's realistic. I mean, he knows that he's not going to be a playoff contending team this year. He knows that.
Right.
He's not.
Which is why when I talk to Tyler about trades, I'm going to rip him a new one. He's trading for guys in their prime when you can't contend this year. It makes no sense.
Well,
and like,
but that one, I know what deal you're talking about. You're talking about my trade.
Not just that one. There's another one. He's made a few moves like this. He's trading.
If he extends Kamade, you get a center fielder who's good. I would say above average. I mean, he's a 3-time Zimmer winner in 5 years, and he can hit 300. Those guys don't grow on trees.
So Kamade has a hold on. Let me. Yep, there we go. Kamade pretty much runs about a 340 BABIP, which is pretty good, right? That's a pretty good BABIP. That's well above league average.
But that's consistent. You know like he's consistently been up there.
Sure, and you know why he does that? Because he's fast.
Yes.
He's 25. He's already on the downside of the speed curve. Like he is.
But if you sign him through his 30 or 31-year-old year, which is I'm assuming he traded him to sign him for an extension.
Yeah, it's a bad move.
But if you only get him through 30 or 31, you could get out of him before he really hits the shitter.
Why is that a good thing for him? Like, I'm looking at like Nashville is 2 years from competing. Now they've got a bunch of good young players. I understand that, but look at what happens when Edmonton had no team and just threw a bunch of good. You can't win with nothing. You can't. Nobody has 25 good young players. You might have 10. You might have 10. And you know what happens if you take a 117 loss team and you put 10 near all-star caliber and a couple all-star caliber players on it? All of a sudden, you win 70 games.
Yeah. Now I have to defend him a little bit. He came into a shit, not just team situation.
Oh, it was a horrible shit show.
And not only that, he had taken over a franchise that had moved and had no money.
Yeah, it moved and had no money, and he was about the 50th GM in the last 51 months. But
so he's having to spend I don't think he literally had any bonus cash. So he's having to take his $5 million a year in stadium out of his in-game cash, which is not a good situation for a rebuild.
Yeah, and you know why he has to keep doing that? is because he doesn't sign any players in free agency, he doesn't move his fan interest up, and he doesn't win enough games to make any money. You
Yeah.
cannot win without making money. You can't win real games without making money. You can't win with a payroll that low to where you're spending your stadium fees out of your freaking pocket instead of your bonus cash. And
Yeah, I
so
mean, he
had,
tried that. I mean, that's why he had Ornelas last year. He tried to do a few things in season last year. I agree. I think he probably could have like scavenged the bot, and I wouldn't be surprised if he in like spring training picks up a few more like those old time guys hanging around that are just super popular, but like should retire.
Sure, and this is where, this is the thing I don't know about. I've got him as having $20 million between what he has spent and what his budget is. I don't know what his revenue is, so maybe he doesn't have the revenue to do anything with that. And again, it's a shit free agent class. But
which
there were
I
some
at least
players.
I mean, I'm not saying this because we talked about this on the other podcast with Boise. At least he didn't cripple himself with terrible contracts.
No, but you kind of beat up Hawaii last year for Mario Mendez, not because it wasn't it wasn't a good value, but it was like, why when you don't try to compete? When you can't compete, do you sign the aging player? And this is the reason, so that instead of winning 45 games, you win 52 games.
And I admit I was wrong on Hawaii. I have
right. Well, but
I have seen the error of my ways, and I don't just say that because I happen to take Mario Mendez from him and do that.
Right.
But
but like you know, if you win 5-6 more games because of a signing, one that's a 6-win player, great. But like,
yeah, I was gonna say
the next year you have the revenue increase from winning 5 more games the previous year, and you just do that and you steamroll that forward. You need 3 to 4, and you went through this with Havana. Havana was making shit terrible money, and you had to churn your way up to making enough revenue to compete. And so like whenever I see one of these teams that's like a 110 loss team and they don't spend any money in free agency, you know what you did? You delayed your breakout by a year. That's what you do every time you do that. Because you've got to make enough money to put a roster together later, if not now. And the way you make money is you win games. And I know that not everybody can win all the time, but winning 50 games makes more money than winning 45.
Yeah,
and winning 55 games makes more money than 50. And if you don't do that...
I think he's... I mean, literally, before he joined this league, he had never even heard of OOTP.
No, and again, this is like, this isn't...
He's and as we've talked about, I don't know if we talked about on this podcast or others, but our league is you're walking into the fucking lion's den.
No, it's a nasty league. I hope Brett doesn't think I'm killing him here. He seems to be... He has a great attitude. I hope he's having a good time.
He is. I mean, he literally sits next to me at work, and we talk about this in the office, and even some of our other coworkers are like, "Hey, how's your baseball team doing?" Like, and they're not talking fantasy baseball; they're talking like, because we talk about this. But I mean, and he knows that he's learning on the fly, and I don't want to betray, you know what I mean, anything. But he knows that he's got a learning curve. He's not a fool.
Well, and it's huge. Like I didn't know OTP when I came here. I had a bunch of other with some old rec leagues and other stuff, and there's definitely a big learning. This is as much as Ron beats this to death. This isn't a baseball sim. This is a financial business sim using baseball players as the medium to communicate it.
Well, and even disregarding what this league is, like we talk about some of the terrible moves that our GMs make, justifiably so. But our bad GMs would run the league in a lot of other sim leagues.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That's one of the other reasons that winning the Landis last year meant so much to me is because I know I beat good people. Yeah. It wasn't like running away with like something that was easy to do or some Yahoo league that I like just creamed. It was like, you guys are tough. Like, this is a tough league, and winning in that, there's a reason it took so much damn work. And like,
yeah, it is one of those things where, I mean, that's why because when I came into this league, I had played OTP in college, but I had taken a few years off, like probably 3 years, because I had done it before I had done my deployment. So I obviously couldn't do it when I was underway and had nothing, but I would have had HTML and that's it. So I dropped out of my previous league, but when I came into this league and won it within a couple of years, I felt really damn proud because this league is, I mean, it's no joke. This is, I called the Lions Den, but it really is.
Yeah, and we're kind of mean jerks at times too.
Well, but
I think it's only because we're so competitive. But.
Yeah, and not only that, we're competitive, but we're also really damn good. Like we've got guys that have figured out how this game works. So not only are you like smart at baseball, but you know how to work the game.
Right.
And
no, it's
fair or not. I mean, you can argue whether or not that's fair because we've got some guys on the beta, like all that, but like that's what you got to deal with. You got to deal with guys who literally are involved in the making of this game.
Yeah, well, that's tough. I agree for all those reasons.
But I mean, I'm not saying that he's been perfect. Like, I mean, I'm obviously going to stick up for my buddy a little bit. He's made some moves that are terrible. He knows he's made some moves that are terrible.
Yeah, so have I. We've all done it. As long as you're learning from it, it's fine.
And
like,
I could speak for the fact that he definitely he is like it's.
Well, I'll get off my little podium of I'm smarter than other people here for a second. Let's move on to Vegas because I tried to do that earlier, but we skipped teams.
First of all, Recty, screw you for stealing Harsnet and costing me $1 million. First of all, I need your opinion on something, Ted, and I want this recorded. I had made a wager with Mr. Lane that Jaden Harsnet would not make $50 million guaranteed. His contract is 38 guaranteed, and then he has an opt-out, and then 20 more before vesting options kicked in. Would you consider
I don't
opt-out
guaranteed? I think it's guaranteed. I think the first year after the opt-out's guaranteed because it's guaranteed from the team. He can opt out of it, but that's guaranteed money.
I am inclined to agree with you, and that's why I'm salty because it's going to cost me $1 million in bonus cash, but. Yeah. It's neither here nor there.
Yeah, Lane's making money, man. He's going to make from me because I told him Michael Best was garbage when I was drunk. And I don't think he's total garbage. I think he's mediocre to good. But
that being said, for Harsnet, because let's start there. Because, I mean, Recty, he went big. He went big in free agency with his
This is what I find interesting. He is the king of roster churn. I know you trade a lot, but, like, he'll make a move. Like, it is impressive. He's been tooting the horn a little bit recently in the last few years about being in roster crunches and not having enough cash and money and being in trouble. And it looks like that Sweet World extension is going to work out pretty poorly for him.
Oh, I have for Harsnet, he's betting on his contract year being real because there ain't no way he's worth $20 million if based on anything before this year.
Yeah, I'm with you. Now, I mean, on the other hand,
I actually brought up Sweet World in my notes. I said, this has a real possibility of being Juan Sweet World 2.0.
Yeah. No, I do think that he should be playing Harsnet in right field. Just play him in right field because he can be a 10 right fielder. Like, I think I was going to play Harsnet in left, but yeah, with that arm, he could be. I have the best right fielder in the league, so I was going to play him in left, but yeah, he could definitely play right. Although Rechtenberg probably, I don't know, or he could play left or right. So it's not like I don't know. It's too much money, and it's weird. We've seen that, I don't know. But on the other hand, he was the best player in the class. I'm not going to totally second guess Matt because he does good things and he knows what he's doing. So if he felt that was the piece that he needed, fair enough.
It was interesting that he went for pitching. Because he has a lot of young pitching talent.
Yeah, but these guys were all up last year, and I think that's what did him in last year, was that they all, Chang and Kim and Lopez.
And Kuhn and
they kind of all stunk a little at times. Like, they didn't really hold up their end of the bargain, it seemed like. And I wonder if he just decided that he needed that somewhat more reliable veteran presence.
Well, would you consider Gerardo Fernando reliable? He's a walking DL stint.
Yeah, that's the weird. I don't know, and he did.
Now, if he somehow, by some miracle of God, the OOTP God stays healthy, that's a great deal.
It's a great price, but you're right. He has to play. and
a structure.
he's also
we talk.
well. It's also a great deal right now. But he'll be 34 at the end of this year, and who knows,
Well,
right? Like these guys are time bombs. Like they're at this age, he could be done in a year. He could be good for 4 years. Who knows? Like it's.
I looked at acquiring Fajardo from Huntsville before he went to where did he go? Yellow Springs. It's one of those. If he stays healthy, it's a great deal. And we always hammer on structure on these podcasts. And this is Rec. We have to be fair is fair here.
Rec doesn't make bad structured deals.
Rec structured this exactly the way we would want him to.
Yeah. Well, he's been doing this shit for so long. He doesn't make those kind of mistakes very often.
Yeah.
You know what I think we're seeing here is we're seeing that the Hustlers missed the playoffs last year, and Rec went out and spent money and got two of the better players in free agency. I think that's what we're seeing. It's just he was like, where are the spots where I can spend money and get the 4 to 5 wins that would have put me in the playoffs last year? And I think that's what we're looking at. Because I think between those two players, you're going to see 4 to 5 more wins. And is it an overpay for them? Yeah. But maybe in his construct of where he's going with things, he doesn't need that money anytime in the future and isn't anticipating a better place to be able to spend it.
Yeah, I get I can't argue. He got two of probably the top 5 guys.
Which is so sad that that's who it was.
Well, let's say Harston. I would argue Harston was probably the top guy in the market.
Yeah, but that's why it's really sad, right?
And if he plays like he did last year, like for me, he played 50 games and got over 2 WAR.
No,
But if he repeats that, he's absolutely worth $20 million a year.
Yeah, Willie, come on. He's 29, and
there's a reason that I was quite happy to let him walk rather than paying him that in free agency.
Yeah. No, well, we'll see. I would predict a return to the playoffs for Vegas just because I don't want to bet against Rec. But the next team on the list,
the Ken is the Ken until proven otherwise. And while he's taken a slight, he hasn't won the division in 2 years. I took it from him in 34, and then he missed the playoffs. He only made the playoffs in 34 because of a late surge from hell, from the depths of hell.
But he had a late surge this last year too, and he just barely missed. I don't think Mexico City, speaking of team that won that division, signed anything. They always need a power back.
That I have them showing no.
So let's talk about something else. Mexico City point. I had been when Brett traded Brett Compton from Vancouver to Fred, his buddy in Mexico. Were you around when we were talking about why Brett Compton looks better on paper than he actually is? He looks like he's a really good glove shortstop. He's got those 8 contact, 8 gap power, 8 ABK, lots of 8s. Looks like he should be a pretty good player. And then we were looking at him, and he's like a 2-win player. Were you around? Was that you I was talking to about that?
I don't know. I was around for the trade. I don't know if it was you were talking to me about it.
It might have been Tyler. What we hypothesized.
Yeah, because that was probably the trade podcast that I didn't do.
Yep, that's probably right. What we hypothesized at the time, because are you looking at what I'm seeing here with Brett Compton, or like?
I'll pull up in game. Give me about 20 seconds.
Okay. When you look at him, he just looks like somebody that looks, he looks like a cornerstone piece. Like he looks like one of those like fundamental, not an elite player.
Like
but
if Compton is the best player on your team, you're in trouble. But he's the guy where you plug him in there and you don't worry about it.
But if he's the third or like the third best position player on your team, you're in good shape, right? He looks like that, right?
Like basically, I'm going to make a comparison to a different position, but a guy I know well. He reminds me of Kamade. Like if Kamade is the best player on your team, you're fucked.
Well, but here's the thing with Compton, he actually hasn't been that good.
No, but I'm saying if you look at ratings, like just pure ratings,
right. Yeah. Like, and that's what you see, but he hasn't been that good, and Trial and I were trying to figure it out, and what we decided was that 6 errors killing him. It's killing him. Stever is the ranges king guy, and usually I agree with him, especially for infield positions, but that
it doesn't matter what you get to if you fuck it up when you get there.
Well, now what we had last year that we didn't have before is the expanded fielding stats.
True.
And they're gone now. Damn it. I wrote he would made less than 50% of plays considered even. He was only like 60% on likely and like 80 some odd percent on routine.
Because he would get there, but he would screw it up when he got
screw it up, and that's what's killing Brett Compton. For comparison, Jesus Flores won the Zimmer.
Hey, Jesus Flores. How about that one?
He was like 60. He was like 70% on even and like 40% on unlikely. So that's what's killing Brett Compton.
Yeah,
he's got hands of stone.
On a different note, can we say the Jesus Flores trade was roughly a win-win?
I don't even remember who I gave you for Jesus Flores.
You gave me Kinney and Pena, who I promptly made part of the Gilstrom deal.
Oh yeah, no, it's worked out well.
And you got Vanderhayden in that too. He was a throw-in. And
he's turned out great.
My throw-ins have been incredible.
I'm waiting for the bottom to fall out on that guy any frickin' time.
I made Vanderhayden the throw-in for you, and I made Manuel Martinez the throw-in for the Kamade Rafael deal, and he won a Zimmer and had like a 5-war season last year.
So the problem with Jesus Flores...
If you want to negotiate with me, get a throw-in. They'll be great.
The problem with Flores is that freaking arbitration gods gave him $7.5 million this year after he's making like $1 million last year, and he's 24 years old. I'm never going to be able to extend him. He's going to want too much money. Ugh. All right. So we solved Brett Compton. Good for us. Let's talk about Phoenix because I've got some thoughts.
All right, let me pull up my Phoenix notes. Please hold.
They did.
Well, my notes say none. So let's hear your thoughts.
Well. They look who see who they just signed this very sim.
Oh fuck! Hold on. Sorry for earmuffs for anybody who has kids listening to this podcast because I curse like a sailor.
No one has kids listening to this podcast.
Well, some people listen to this shit in the car, so they might.
That's true. They have kids, but the kids are not.
I apologize to anybody that has kids that might hear me talk. I can't curse when my 2-year-old's around, so I do it all when he's sleeping, and especially when I drink.
So the Phoenix Talons on February 1st, 2036 signed left fielder Dominic Wyatt.
They signed him back?
Why? Why did they? I mean, it's not bad.
Let me look at the money. Let me look at the money.
$8.3 million.
For 1 year?
For 3 years.
They just got rid of him when he's making 12. The fuck did he sign him back for when he's making 8?
No. It's eight total. Oh, it's like $3 million a year.
Oh, I thought you meant 8 per year. I was like, that makes no sense.
You know why it makes even less sense? They have...
Well, it makes less sense because they picked up Jean-Luc Lacaze from me.
Which, that didn't make sense. So, Thad Meyer, Martin Marin, and Bartolo Ortiz. Right? And you...
Martin Marin. Yeah, Martin Marin. I don't know if that's what you said. Yeah.
Yeah. Duck Marin.
Yeah.
So... And Thad Meyer and Bartolo Ortiz. I don't know why they traded for Lacaze.
Well, I'm not complaining about that one.
But it's like, here's another one. Well, all we've heard out of Marco for years is, I'm broke, we don't have any money. I'm broke, we don't have any money. I can't do anything. I'm broke, we don't have any money. And they trade for Lacaze, who's going to chew up all of the money they finally got to make in cap space. Although it's not a horrible deal, but they had 3 of the better outfielders in the game, and I guess you could say that, okay, Ortiz is a shit right fielder. We're going to move him to DH. We're going to move Ortiz to first, and then you get something to do with Al Gordon. Fine, but okay, fine. But then what the fuck are you going to do with Dominic Wyatt?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Al Gordon's one of the better underrated guys in this league, by the way. Can you say that?
Don't get me Marco's fun and good in that he just beats you with 1 billion home runs. Every Sean Marco team I've ever seen is just me going well, that ain't gonna work. He's got more home runs. Well, that's a little odd, but he's got more home runs. And then 4 or 5 iterations of this later, he just hits 1,000 home runs and wins. And nothing else matters. It's his pitching is kind of defense kind of but he'll hit 1 billion home runs and beat you. And so it's fun from that sense. And I'm just wondering if this is just Marco giving into his inner Marco and going Dominic Wyatt was paid too much and wasn't any good for me, but man, does he hit home runs.
Well,
And
now
that's what I like.
he's a fan favorite, or he was. I thought he was a fan favorite. Did that go away?
Well, maybe he is. I don't know.
No,
Maybe
but I
it's
mean,
one of those.
I could have sworn, and maybe somebody will comment on this when we post this.
Yeah, maybe he pays for himself. Like,
But he's not listed as a fan favorite anymore.
Oh, well, where the hell is he even going to play him? That's the like.
I mean,
This is such a shit free agency class that weird crap was bound to happen, where people just spent money because fuck it. But like, that's so weird.
well, I mean, for what it's worth, his primary lineup looking in the game has a bunch of holes listed, but look who's at the top.
Jean-Luc Lacaze.
Yes, indeed.
I think you got the shit version of Lacaze. I don't think he's as good as he used to be, but I do believe that he can still play a little bit.
I mean, people gave me shit, and you included, for paying Lacaze $20 million a year. But if they had actually bothered to, look at the contract, Lacaze
paid
was
him
making
1 year.
$20 million the first year, and then it was 12 and 11 after that. Now, is that still too much? Yes, but
it's not that much.
I'm not paying Lacaze $20 million a year. I jerry-rigged the deal to make it fit within my salary structure.
Yeah, no, it's just I don't know.
I mean, it's still too much. Don't get me wrong. I'm not defending that it was a terrible deal.
That's why you dumped it.
That's why I literally gave him away for $1. And I had to attach one of my 50 minor league catchers.
All right, well, we're nearly done. Let's not kill everybody else with the rest of our stuff. Wichita.
Wichita, did they sign anybody besides Louis Hall?
Louis Hall, I just put that $400K for 3 years. That's not a bad idea if you're just gonna see if that asshole has anything left in the tank, but he probably doesn't. Wichita signed some people this sim.
Yeah, my comment was with Louis Hall. I weirdly like this deal.
Yeah, I do too.
It's
one of those ones where you're like
it, but I do.
Well, anybody you can sign someone for less than the minimum salary.
Well, it's $900K for 3 years guaranteed, $900K each year.
Oh, I thought I have 400. Oh, I have a 9. That's just a bad 9.
But still, that's still.
It looks like a 4. God, my writing's terrible. Yeah, it's nothing. It's worth just seeing if he's got anything. That's fine. So Wichita signed that, but guess so if come on now, you should be able to, if you knew he was in the free agency pool, you've already forgotten about him, but his nickname is Old Big Head.
Clough?
Yep, Stu signed Clough.
Of course he did.
And I like it. He gave him $5 million a year for 2 years, which, if you're money crunched and you're going to compete, is not a great move. If you're Wichita and you're just looking for, plug some holes, Clough was not great last year, but
he hit 3,000.
Yeah, he got hit number 3,000, and that guy his ratings really didn't budge, and he's defied age forever. This isn't, I like it in terms of
how much. What was the salary?
$5 million a year.
For how many years?
2.
I mean, he's 50 years old at this point, but sure.
It's not going to make you win, but there's not a player that they were going to sign that was going to make them win.
No.
So this is what we're talking about with Brett and Nashville. That's the deal you make. If you've got the space, that's who you sign. He's going to win you a couple more games. He's going to put some fans in the seats. He'll leave at the end of his contract before you got to pay real people. But in the meantime, he won you some games. You make a little bit more money than you did before. And you just do that every year until you build yourself up. They also signed Bonaventure Habermas.
They got Habermas, really?
Yeah, I don't know why Habermas continues to not be terrible. 1 year for $4 million, which I feel is a pretty darn good price for taking a flyer when it.
That's why we were talking about this, and that prompted the whole blow up that happened. The extension demands that these guys are asking are ridiculous. Even not just the extension, at the start of free agency, Mendez was asking for 4 years, $16 million a year. He signs for 1 year, 6.5. Habermas is asking for 4 years, $13 million a year. He signs for 1 year, what, $4 million?
Right, and that's my point. Is that
Like, it's one thing
The
to ask for
way-
it as an extension, because I get it. Like, you want to, like, somebody, I forget who it was, I think Stever made the argument, like, look, you should make them pay more to avoid free agency. Which,
Right, and I totally get that, but it's the free agent prices.
but then when you get
were
the
like
free agency, drop your price to something more reasonable.
a quarter, 25%. Well, no, it's more than that. A third. He signed for 1/3 on an average annual value base, and 1/9 of the total dollars that he was asking for. That's totally unrealistic and unreal. Like, it'd be one if there was like one or two players a year that overshot that, a la Lance Lynn this last year in the MLB. But like, it's when the entire class is doing this. Like, and it's not even realism that I care about. You can make all the arguments in the world to say that it's close to realistic. It's not fun. Like, we're a video game baseball simulation, and when we're all sitting here for 2/3 of free agency with our thumb up our asses waiting for the players to be reasonable, and then you're snaking them at the last minute because there isn't a bidding war in the beginning because no one's going to bid that amount. So we're all playing the waiting game.
Well, and I admit I benefited from that with Macias because he was asked roughly what I offered him, but for 4 years instead of 2 that he ended up getting.
I think it's unfortunate the way it's working out. They also signed Mark Watson for a little about $4 million a year. I honestly can't remember if Watson's any good anymore. I think he's not. I think he had a good year in Long Beach last year, but like it looks kind of like a fluke.
Oh, Mark Watson?
Yeah, I'm pulling up his page right now. Oh, sorry about this, everybody. Once again, real time clicking, watching the magic happen. Not even under W in the HTML, Mark Watson. Why are you not? Well, I give up. I don't care anymore. Oh, Mark Watson. There he is. Free agent. Yep. He can still pitch against righties a little bit. He can probably still pitch against lefties a little bit, but he's going to get beat up every now and again. And he was a...
Let me see how much he signed for. Hold on. Cue the Mission Impossible theme music while I attempt to load up.
Oh, it was like a little over $4 million a year for 2 years.
And if I appear begrudgingly salty as this podcast went on, I just watched my Bears piss away a 20-0 halftime lead and lose by 1 point to the fucking Green Bay Packers on a 70-yard catch and run. So I apologize.
But Aaron Rodgers is dead. I mean, I know
Aaron
that you don't want to.
Aaron Rodgers came back in the second half and ripped the Bears' heart out.
Oh. Well, good for him for not being hurt. Bad for him for channeling his inner soccer player, apparently.
I mean, no, he was legit. They showed him he was hobbling around, but he came back because he's Aaron Rodgers and that's what he does, and he rips my team's heart out. Mark Watson got $4.2 million for each of the next 2 years.
Yeah, it's not bad. Again, in the situation that Wichita's in, where they're not going to be a real contender, but they need to put in warm, reasonably decent bodies. Good move, I think.
Little high, but they also signed, did we note this, Marcos Villegas?
They got piano legs?
Yeah.
Is he any good anymore?
I take it back. They had him last year.
Yeah, I thought they did. I thought they got him from, didn't they get him from Phoenix?
He was the expansion draft. Maybe I might have had too much to drink.
Yeah. What did piano legs do last year? I went to...
let me look. Actually, he went...
Team.
6 with a 4.72 ERA and 20 games started and 37 appearances.
That's like his best, whip. That's his best year.
1.27 whip. That's, I mean...
Yeah, that guy's been inexplicably not good as he should be. Like, he's one of those ones where it's just like, man, why can't he get his shit together?
This year he's got a 1 year, $2.5 million deal.
Oh, that ain't bad.
No.
We are running out of gas, buddy. We got one team left. San Antonio. I think we got one team left. Did we forget anybody besides San Antonio?
Let me look at the standings. Hold on. I don't think San Antonio signed anybody, did they?
Hector Cantu. They just did it. I don't even remember who that is.
Yeah, he's the guy that I traded to Recti for everybody's favorite pitcher, John Reed.
Oh, that's right. He was a corner outfielder? No.
Yes.
Yeah, corner outfielder. And he you swapped him for John Reed and he caught fire, right? For
No,
half a
he broke
season
his
with Las
leg.
Vegas.
He broke his leg like 2 weeks.
Or was he, no, he was on fire with you. He was on fire with you and you flipped him and he broke his leg, right?
Yep. And then he went to Des Moines and did okay, and then went to San Antonio last year and completely shit the bed.
Well, and Hector Cantu, wasn't he the one that Des Moines signed and we kind of were wondering, like, would he be the good one or the bad one?
Yeah.
And we didn't think so, but it looks like that contract worked out okay, right?
Yeah, and he split the difference. Last year he sucked, but the first year he was good. Okay. But no, I always have a special place in Hector Cantu because he got me John Reed, and
because you fleeced wrecked.
Well, yeah,
and you always hold those things dear to your heart.
Well, and not only that, John Reed. Everybody loves to hate on John Reed, but I love John Reed. He's one of my favorite.
John Reed's terrible.
Well, hey, John Reed just bumped a point of movement. He's up to 6 now, which as in the new 19-6 is like league average.
I've seen people bumping movements. I almost wonder, like,
but
is the internal calculator? So I've seen a lot of movement bumps, and what I'm wondering is when they redid the movement calculation and everybody dropped a point. I get that happened, but now is the game compensating because the rating is too low? You know, like it's looking at the overall player talent and player pool and going like, this is too low for the rest of these talents, and we're seeing all these bumps.
Well, like I said, it was well because Reed was never. I mean, he took the bump with everybody else, or the lump with everybody else, but he's always been at the bottom end of the movement scale. But him actually getting up to league average with 12 stuff makes him like actually more than just my irrational man crush as a pitcher.
Yep, no, fuck John Reed, man. I don't care. You know what? Reed's a fine pitcher. I think it's just because you like him so much, and the guy just don't. Well, he's fine though. He is a fine middle of the rotation option.
Well, and not only that, I have him locked up for I think like less than $3 million for the next 2 years.
Oh, all right. We're running out of. Nobody cares about John Reed besides you. We're killing everybody. I think that's it. We got through everyone. We have done all the free agency wrap ups. This has been a boring free agent class and probably a couple boring podcasts. If anybody is still listening, thanks for listening, and thanks as always for Randy for being here. And I will try to do better next time. We got some trade talk with Tyler coming up, which will also be really nerdy and overly critical. And I don't know, man. That's what I got. Thanks.
Thank you, everybody, for listening.
If anyone still is. Oh.
Are we not recording?
I'm still recording, but I'm hitting stop buttons.